So the Beast Handler is a tower that recently got released, and there's a total of 3 paths, top, middle and bottom paths. So in this video we're going to be exploring all 3 paths and seeing how good the Beast Handler actually is, because all these paths does do different things. So let's go ahead and start off with the top path, which is, well, the Orca. So we're going to look at only tier 4 and 5 towers for today's video. We're not going to look at tier 3 since they're relatively simple and not much explaining needs to be done. However, what we can do is experiment with how much damage they do and what abilities they have. So let's start with the Orca. It says the mighty Orca's huge mouth can grab and drag all but the very largest Bloons into the depths. At max beast power, the Orca can drag down ZOMGs. So let's see exactly how much DPS can it do. Well, let's actually set it to 100 just for base comparison. So is it able to drag down a Moab? And the answer is yes, you can drag down a Moab. How about BFB? And keep in mind, this is just at base power, so hopefully we can see something that's it can still drag down BFB, and it can. So I'm not sure whether speed has anything to do with it, but I'm going to send out a few BFBs here and we'll see how much it can actually drag down. Okay, it's actually pretty slow when it comes to dragging down the Bloons, but I don't think upgrading the Beast Handler would actually speed things up. But as mentioned earlier, 0MG is definitely not going to be able to drag it down without maximum power, because it's only power 16. And keep in mind, this fella costs quite a bit of money, and you might notice that it's doing quite a bit of damage to it. So let's actually reset its pop count. Actually, let's clear all the Bloons and reset its pop count, so its pop count is now 0. Just so that we could see exactly how much damage it does at once, just for a base Orca, assuming it doesn't drag down anything. This is useful for bosses. If you want to use this for bosses. So as you can see, at base power 16, it can deal 320 damage per attack or per hit, which is quite a bit. But keep in mind, it's very slow. So yeah, you might not want to rely on it. Now, here's a question: is it able to get a DDT? Now obviously it can't get a base DDT because no camo detection, but what if you gave it camo detection? And you know, let's just see what happens. Can it drag down DDT? No, but it can deal damage to it just fine. So yeah, no, the Orca isn't able to drag down a DDT, and that's fine. We can still upgrade the Beast Handler, or rather the Orca. So let's go ahead and max out the Orca and get a degree, or the Beast Handler power as they like to call it, degree 64, whatever, it doesn't really matter. We're not going to upgrade to a Megalodon just yet. So now let's actually see its true power. As you can see, or rather as you guys are going to see, I wish you could place this on land, but you can't. It is able to drag down a ZOMG. Now, is it able to drag down a bat? Clearly not, but if we give it camo detection, will it be able to drag down a DDT? That's what we're going to find out later. But let's actually clear its pops and clear the Bloons on screens, just so that we could see how much damage this fella does. And as you guys can see, okay, I should probably clear the pops one more time. It deals a total of 960 damage, so it's a total of roughly 3 times the amount of damage from its base power. Is it worth it? I leave it up to you to decide, but keep in mind, you're paying 4 times the price for 3 times its power. But remember, you're able to drag down a 0MG along with it, and even though this is a bad, it's still pretty powerful. But keep in mind, also really expensive. You're spending like at the minimum 60k on medium difficulty just for this kind of power. Is it worth it? I don't know. It's up to you to decide. But is it able to grab a DDT? Yes, it can. How about fortified Bloons? I'm pretty sure the fortified modifier doesn't change anything, and it doesn't. So yes, it is able to grab DDTs with no problem at max power, but that's just a tier 4. How about the tier 5 Megalodon? That's the big Bloon. Now, from what I know, it is able to grab a bat, the Megalodon. So we're going to use it to grab a bat, and it's just at power 84 for now. But you know what, since we're already at tier 5, might as well max it out, since if you have the money to spend on the tier 5, then yeah, you probably want to get a max out Beast Handler anyway. So let's go ahead and max this bad boy out, and we got a level 132 Megalodon. So let's go ahead and send out a bat. And before that, let's send out DDT, and you might notice it's way faster, and I can actually send out a few bats right here. I don't have the faster forward mod on with me right now, but if I had, I would speed things up, and you can see it's actually pretty fast. And you might notice it also deals damage to the surrounding bats as well. So yes, this fella, this big shark, incredibly powerful, and you can even go up to round 150, or rather you can grab bats up to round 150. Now here's the thing, there's this thing called round ramping, which I think most of you already know what it is, but basically the higher the round, the harder it is for you to get rid of Bloons. Now I'm not sure why this fella isn't able to take down the bat, because it's supposed to be able to take it down at 150, but let's just try around 149. Let's just reset its pops and bloon counter. So let's try 149. Is it able to take it down? It is, but it's also very slow, cause this fella got a lot more health, and with the health ramping, it's not easy. Now, question: is it able to take down a fortified bat? Yes, it can, but once again, quite slow as well. So let's restart this, but this time we're going to send it around 200, just so that we could see how much DPS this fella does, assuming it doesn't hook in anything. So it's pretty fast, a bat, but it deals 12k damage per hit, which is a lot. But keep in mind, again, extremely expensive tower, so whether you want to use this, that's up to you. It could be used for Chimps one, I'm sure, but again, I'm not sure if the price is worth the cost. But anyway, that's just the top path beast handler. Now let's look at the remaining paths. Let's look at the T-Rex, shall we? Let's place our good fella over here. So the T-Rex has a special ability. Its huge jaw and sharp teeth deal a ton of damage with each bite, and the T-Rex have a stomp ability which can stun up to a 0 Bloon in a wide area. Now, here's the question. Let's set this back to 100. If we send out a bunch of 0 MGs, is it able to stun them all just at base power alone? And keep in mind, this fella costs $9,500, so roughly in total you're spending about $12,500, $15,000, which is relatively expensive. But let's see, it doesn't deal a lot of damage, but is a stun ability useful? Yes. It is able to stun at 0 MG, but you might notice it didn't stun it for quite a long time. So what I'm wondering is, does increasing the level or the power of the T-Rex, will it be able to stun the 0 MGs for longer? And that is exactly what we're going to find out. How long will it stun it for? Okay, so it can stun in the right area, but I don't think there really is a change in terms of stun duration. And again, it does area damage, and it does quite a bit of damage in an area, but mill path is probably not the best, at least if you're just going for a tier 4. So let's take a look at tier 5 and let's actually max this fella out. So what's the difference between tier 4 and 5? It can shred almost any bloon instantly with ease, and the stomp ability hits the entire map and lasts longer. So let's go ahead and max out this fella. So what you're looking at is essentially a top half bomb shooter, a 500 bomb shooter, except it's able to stun the entire map. So let's go ahead and send out a bunch of Moabs. Oh, and it is instantly just shredding them. It's a very big beast, but you know what? Let's send out some 45 DDTs just to show my point. I'm not sure whether it's able to detect or stun camel bloons, but oh, it can detect and stun camel bloons, which I think is pretty good, pretty amazing, and also the stun deals quite a bit of damage, which is pretty fascinating, all things considered. So let's find out exactly how much damage this fella does. We know tier 4 doesn't do a lot of damage, but it seems like tier 5 dealt quite a bit of damage. So if we set its pop count to 0, let's see how much damage this fella does exactly without its ability. Okay, so I can't really see, but it deals a decent, I would say decent amount of damage. Is not the best, but still good enough damage for the most part. And actually, yeah, the base beast handler can't detect camel bloons, but its ability can. So if let's reset its pop count, so now that it's 0 again. This time I want to see how much damage its stun ability does. 950, so not a lot, but if you do it twice, you can deal with 45 DDTs quite easily actually. it can get rid of a deity pretty easily, or a bunch of deities easily. So let's actually try that out. We're going to unfortify deities, and you might notice can't detect them, but boom, it's all now camo cell mix, camo equals cell mix, and you just need to deal with those balloons, which I think is way easier than having to deal with a DT now. Granted, you want to get something like P-Spike, which has been nerfed, but I'm not sure how good it is anymore, but it could still possibly work. But either way, that is a middle path. It's not as interesting as you might think, but still, I think it still works wonders. Now, let's move on to the bottom path, the Giant Condor. The huge talents of fearsome Giant Condor can pick up smaller mod class balloons. Now, this fella is special because you're able to retarget where the balloons go. In fact, you can actually make it target such that whatever balloons you pick up, you can push them further in front of the track or backwards to the track, or even switch lanes, which actually, let's try Spring, which is a pretty good map since you have balloons going on both tracks at the same time on the same round. So let's go ahead and send a few Moabs, and they'll split between the tracks, but let's set it such that we only want it to go to the top half. Let's send a bunch more of these Moab class balloons just to drive from the point. So as you can see, it can pick up the balloons from the other side of the track and just move it straight up, which I think is pretty cool. And notice that it can also, like, depending on the number of Moabs you see, or even the number of balloons, it can perma-stun the balloons, which I think is pretty cool all in all. So let's actually upgrade this fella, and let's give this fella max power to see how much damage this fella truly can do. So let's go ahead and send I don't know, 0mg, which I think it should be able to pick up. Would it? No, it can't pick up 0mgs. Can it pick up BFBs? I think it should be able to. No, it can't, but it can damage it. So, oh, actually it can pick it up and damage it. So this means that if you want to damage it, and it did damage things quite quickly, if you want to damage anything higher than BFB, you need to get the legendary Palkai, which is a pretty big bird, I will say. And it's degree 84 only, so let's go ahead and get a few more birds to cover up our losses. Okay, there you go, max out degree 132. So let's go ahead and send a few 0mgs to this fella's way. And you might notice that it's doing quite a lot of damage, and oh my god, yeah, it's pretty damn powerful, I would say. So yeah, let's go ahead and run some more tests. Is it able to pick up DTs? Yes, it can. It has base camo detection, which I think is pretty cool overall. How about bat? Is it able to deal much damage against a bat? Not much, but it is pretty quick. So let's actually clear all balloons and reset its pop count. And let's actually see how much damage this fella does. I'm going to guess it's not a lot because its main thing is hitting back balloons. But as you can see, it still does quite a bit of damage in a short amount of time. Not as much as the top path. I think the top path is DPS, but still, I think it's a pretty cool upgrade for non-bat balloons. So if you're playing anything before round 100, I think the Pukai, or actually the bottom path, is actually pretty good overall. Even if you're not doing your 0mgs or 004, it's not too bad, and I don't think it's not that expensive for how much power it has. And oh my god, yeah, that was it made quick work of that bat. So yeah, so how good is the beast handler all in all? I'll say it's actually not too bad for a new tower, but I wish there's more that we could do with this tower, because even though it looks like it's good for bosses, it's really not, because you got better towers available for you for such a price range. And yeah, I really wish that more could have been done with this tower, such that it could be used more in races or bosses, because as far as I know so far, this tower is not viable for either of these events. And as for least tiers and least cash, I'm going to say no to either of them, because least tiers, well, with the beast handler, I think it's pretty obvious why it's not least tiers, but least cash is actually pretty darn expensive for these upgrades, if you get what I mean. Like the Orca, you might think it's pretty good, but no. In order for you to drag down 0mg, you have to spend 4 times the amount of money, and that's just for tier 4 path. You're not even considering the other 3 tiers. Which granted is pretty cheap, but compared to the Orca, but still, that's just for dragging down or rather insta killing a 0MG. So think of it as like a monkey pirates, but not as strong. At least for top path. Middle path is more reminiscent of the stun ability from the bomb, so Bloon Crush. Except Bloon Crush is actually way more consistent. But with the tier 5, you can stun the entire map. Although, let's be honest, it's not for long. And you can do that with other towers like the Pop and Awe ability. And I think, yeah, it's way more expensive as well. So, yeah, as for bottom path, well, let's be honest, it's just Superstorm. Bottom path is just Superstorm. That is, in all fairness, a bit cheaper, but still, Superstorm is way better and it can do way more damage. And not to mention, it has automatic camo detection, and of course, a very good tower when it comes to least tiers. So, yeah, Beast Handler, is it an interesting tower? Yeah, it is. Is it a good tower? That's up for debate, because I really don't think it is, especially when it's basically a tower full of alternative towers. So yeah, I hope that Ninja Kiwi could rework the Beast Handler. I still think there's some potential for Beast Handler, probably not a lot at this point, but there's some potential such that it's not completely useless or outclassed by any other tower that exists in the game. But if that being said, like I said, interesting concept. Could be worked on better. It just needs to be more unique in a way, so that, you know, when I actually spend money on this tower, I would say, yes, this tower is actually worth it. It's worth the skill cap, because keep in mind, you need to be level 40 to unlock this tower. And which is unlike, you know, the other towers. The highest you need to unlock, the last one that you need to unlock is level 28, and that's for all bits, not even the towers. So yeah, if you want to give us such a so-called high skill cap tower, you're gonna have to let us come up with more interesting strategies for the Beast Handler, or, you know, make it more powerful than it has to be, or, you know, make it something more unique that isn't seen in any other towers, or it couldn't be replaced by other towers. So yeah, I just hope that this is something that Ninja Kiwi could think when they are balancing the Beast Handler or coming out with new items for Beast Handler, because what I'm seeing right now is that this tower is just going to be dead after a few updates, maybe by next update, who knows. Has been updated in contested territory yet, but who knows, maybe it will one day. But as far as it goes, especially with how contested territory has been recently, I don't really think Beast Handler is going to be that useful in any event at all, but I guess time will tell. So with that being said, I hope Ninja Kiwi does actually improve the Beast Handler over time. But as for you guys, the rest of you, thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like if you like this video, leave a comment if you have anything else to add, and I'll see you guys in the next video.